language, and we also got the prohibition of lethal weapons. We now have a law in effect, and I can go back at our next session and try and tweak and get the prohibition of non-lethal weapons back on, and I intend to do that.
That's Rick Becker. Dr. Rick Becker, actually, is a plastic surgeon, in addition to being a Republican state representative from Bismarck, North Dakota. Thanks for talking with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
A paid lobbyist for the North Dakota Peace Officers Association helped write the change that allows for non-lethal weapons on unmanned aerial systems. Michael Wrighton is the president of that organization. He's also the police chief in the city of West Fargo, North Dakota. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
Let's deal with this provision about non-lethal weapons, or the banning of lethal weapons from drones. When you hear those phrases as a police officer, what practices or potential practices are going through your mind as being affected by that provision?
Well, talking to law enforcement agencies that have SWAT teams, they felt that there needed to be an ability to deliver non-lethal munitions into certain situations, a barricaded subject, and the possibility of allowing the use of pepper spray to be deployed from a drone. Weapons actually come in three different types of category. Lethal, which everybody is familiar with as far as a handgun. Less than lethal are those weapons that fire rubber bullets, beanbags, that type of thing. Not meant to be lethal, but they could be. And then there's non-lethal, and we talked about pepper spray. My interpretation of the way the bill is written, when it says lethal weapons are prohibited, it would be both the less lethal and the lethal weapons.
I'd like to hear how you, as a police chief, think about drones. I'm thinking back to, it was a very negative reaction, a negative bipartisan reaction, when military vehicles appeared in the streets of Ferguson, Missouri, and people talked about the militarization of the police. The drone is a weapon too. Is it something that continues police forces down the road of being more like part of the armed service?
And I guess I would argue the point of unmanned aerial systems being weapons of war. There's a recreational vehicle that many of the public have. There are many commercial practices being explored as far as being able to analyze crops, assess damage after disasters. Real estate agents are using them to display homes. So
you're saying they're pervasive, or they're used for everything nowadays?
Yes, and certainly there are many practical, safe, legal things that we can do with drones and not invade the privacy of the individual.
There were headlines that said North Dakota has legalized taser drones. Are tasers in the not-so-lethal or non-lethal category?
Well, they're considered non-lethal, but when you start thinking out of the logistics of it, the length of the wire attached to the taser, and especially on an unstable drone platform, practically, I don't see it happening. Really, the focus behind an unmanned aerial system is the ability to search wider areas from a position of advantage. If we have somebody that runs off into a cornfield and hides, we would be able to deploy one of these small drones and quickly fly over the cornfield looking down, and that's true life.
You guys are chasing people through cornfields?
Yeah, not all that long ago, an individual escaped from a prison transport vehicle, ran into a cornfield, and he was able to avoid capture. Had they been able to use a drone, they would have been able to fly the area. How they caught him was they came in and combined the corn around him so that he ran out of places to hide.
Both a North Dakota problem and a North Dakota solution.
So there you go.
Michael Wrighton, thanks for talking with us today about it.
Well, thank you very much.
Mr. Wrighton is the Chief of Police in West Fargo, North Dakota, and President of the North Dakota Peace Officers Association. He was talking about a state law in North Dakota regarding the use of unmanned aerial systems, or drones, by police.
Support for All Tech Considered comes from Farmers Insurance, out to educate everybody about common insurance gaps that can be costly. Farmers Insurance. Know the gaps. Farmers.com/inner circle. And from Carbonite. providing secure automatic cloud backup and recovery solutions for businesses and homes. Learn more at carbonite.com.
It's all considered.
It's All Things Considered on WNYC. In his run for the Republican presidential nomination, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has stepped up his attacks against Hillary Clinton over her handling of State Department emails. But reporting by New Jersey Public Radio's Matt Katz raises similar questions about Christie's email use. We're going to take a look at that coming up in the program. Right now, we'll take a check of your weather. It is partly cloudy tonight. We're only going to get down into the mid-70s. It's going to be pretty hot out there this evening. And tomorrow, sunny and hot again with highs near 90 degrees. Right now, it is 87 degrees out in Flushing, Mass.
This week on Radio Lab.
It's the sound of the waterfall. You'll have pains,
Throbbing headache.
almost unbearable pains. That sort of drumming, thrumming, dangerous. You can't breathe. You're on the brink of something.
The crazy lengths that people go to get ideas.
You have 10 days to write this book. If it is not done then, you commit suicide.
That's This Week on Radio Lab. Tonight at 8 on 93.9 FM WNYC.
WNYC support comes from Workiva, creator of WDesk, helping Fortune 500 level companies with productivity, risk, and compliance with enterprise management solutions. Learn more at workiva.com.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. A jury in Kansas has found a self-described white supremacist guilty of murder and other charges for killing 3 people in an anti-Semitic shooting spree last spring. Ellie Moxley reports from member station KCUR.
Frazier Glenn Cross Jr., a.k.a. Frazier Glenn Miller Jr., opened fire at a suburban Kansas City Jewish community center and nearby retirement home on April 13, 2014, killing William Corcoran, Reet Underwood, and Terry Lamano, none of whom was Jewish. Cross represented himself at trial. He repeatedly accused the judge of trying to silence his extremist views. He interrupted Judge Thomas Kelly Ryan's reading of the verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of capital murder as charged. I think the best way to just say, seek out.
The same jury will decide whether Cross will get the death penalty or life in prison. For NPR News, I'm Ellie Moxley in Olathe, Kansas.
A man accused of gunning down a sheriff's deputy in a Houston, Texas suburb is planning to plead not guilty. 30-year-old Shannon Miles is charged with capital murder in the death of Deputy Darren Goforth. The Harris County District Attorney says shell casings at the scene match a handgun that was found at Miles's home. Investors are continuing to focus on the Federal Reserve, which seems to be on track to raise interest rates as soon as next month. And that's worrisome for Seaport Securities President Teddy Weisberg.
I suspect that the market's trading where they are, and when you consider where they were at the end of, in the spring of 2009, it could become problematical for the stock market.
Stocks on Wall Street today remain mostly lower, but a spike in oil prices helped energy shares reverse an early decline. At the close, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 114 points, the Nasdaq down 51, the S&P 500 down 16. This is NPR.
This is WNYC in New York. I'm Jamie Floyd. Cory Booker is the only senator from New York and New Jersey who has yet to state a position on President Obama's proposed nuclear deal with Iran. The stakes are high for the Democrat, who must decide between opposing the president or his close allies in the Jewish community. WNYC's Karen Rouse reports.
Senator Booker has enjoyed strong support from pro-Israel and Jewish communities. North Jersey Rabbi Shmuley Boteach has been a friend and spiritual advisor. Last week, Boteach and Governor Christie called on Booker to tell Obama no. But Booker also has Democratic supporters who expect him to back Obama, says Aaron Kayak, a Washington, D.C.-based strategist and former spokesman for Congressman Gerald Nadler.
Someone like Senator Booker will pay a political cost regardless of which way he decides to vote.
A spokeswoman for Booker said national security, not politics, will guide his decision. For WNYC, I'm Karen Rouse.
One of the few Latinas in a top New York City government post is stepping down. Lilian Barrios Paoli, the city's deputy mayor for Health and Human Services, will be leaving her post at the end of September. She is accepting an unpaid position as the chairperson of the board for the Health and Hospitals Corporation, which oversees public hospitals and clinics throughout the city. De Blasio's choice to appoint Barrios Paoli, who was born in Mexico to Cuban parents, was hailed by advocates who have called for greater Latino representation in the mayor's office. The mayor lauded Barrios Paoli's work for the administration, citing the implementation of rental assistance programs for the homeless and an expansion of after-school programs. Well, the U.S. Open got underway today in Queens. It could be historic. If Serena Williams, the top-ranked player in the world, wins, she'll match Steffi Graf's record of 22 Grand Slam titles. And a title in the final major will mean a sweep of the 4 major tournaments in 1 year, since Williams has already won the Australian and French Open titles as well as Wimbledon. Williams begins play this evening with a match against Russian Vitalia Dyashenko. Meanwhile, the men's top seed Novak Djokovic won his first round match, beating his opponent in just 71 minutes. It is hot out there tonight for play. It is only going down to 74 degrees, and it's still 87 degrees in Flushing Meadows. And tomorrow it'll be hot again, going up into the mid-90s. And looking ahead to Wednesday, another hot day in the 90s.
Support for NPR comes from member stations and from Athena Health, cloud-based EHR and practice management services for medical groups and health systems to help physicians work as one across the continuum of care. More at athenahealth.com. And AT&T. With AT&T, the network is on demand, the office is mobile, and the cloud is designed for high security. Learn more at att.com/focus.
From NPR News, it's All Things Considered. I'm Robert Siegel. The Dominican Republic has started formal deportations of Haitians living illegally in its country. The people being expelled failed to comply with a new immigration policy that requires them to prove their citizenship. Peter Granitz reports from the Haitian side of the border that tensions are running dangerously high.
27 Haitians slowly step off the yellow school bus rigged with metal bars over the windows. They walk under the watch of dozens of Haitian and Dominican soldiers, police, and officials towards the border of the two countries of Hispaniola. Once they pass through the large, bent, rusted iron gate marking the border, officials with Haiti's immigration service verify the names of the returnees. 27 people, all men, mostly young, are now back in the country of their birth. Some have lived in the DR for decades, others for just a few months. They're driven to an immigration office where Haitian officials process their names and returns. Then aid workers for the Jesuit Refugee Service take detailed accounts of who they are to try to find out where they're from and if they still have family in Haiti. 18-year-old Anthony Jr. is back in Haiti, a country he left just 6 months ago to look for construction work in the DR in hopes of making more money than he could at home. He's nervous and shy. He says thieves in the DR stole most everything he owned, and then he was picked up by immigration authorities on the street. Junior tells an aid worker he was born in Haiti, in a small town near the city of Enche, and they're having a hard time figuring out exactly where it is. Thus far, the Dominican Republic has deported just a few hundred people, and it's promised it will not begin massive deportations. There have been no reported cases of abuse of deportees. The actual transfers seem to be orderly. But the International Organization for Migration warns the Dominican government has created the systems and infrastructure that could continue the deportations at this rate for months, possibly a year. Thousands could ultimately end up in desperately poor Haiti, and that creates a lot of uncertainty and tension at the border. Groups of young Haitians threw rocks and bottles across the border recently. And Dominican soldiers fired back. Nobody was hurt. The escalation in violence shut the border down for hours, bringing trade to a halt and putting merchants out of work for the day.
Without all this craziness, we can pass normally.
Normally, Sonny Petillon buys oil and soft drinks, where they're cheaper in the Dominican Republic than sells them in Haiti at a markup, just like hundreds of others. Gilbert Artius lives near the border and says confrontations between Haitian police and the Dominican military are becoming more regular.
Dominicains pas respecter droit haïtien. Yo fait ça, yo fait nous Dominicans don't respect the rights of Haitians. They shoot, they throw rocks. We're not going to let them do this again.
And while the chaos at the border is taking its toll on people's lives, there's no sign of any progress between the two governments. There's no protocol on how to handle the migrants, and the Haitians say they have no idea how many people will be deported. For NPR News, I'm Peter Granitz in Malpass, Haiti.
In India, caste permeates every aspect of life: education, profession, marriage. And it is caste that determines India's affirmative action. By law, the most disadvantaged castes are allowed quotas for government jobs and college admission. But a backlash against those quotas has led to violence and ongoing tension in the state of Gujarat, which is the home turf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NPR's Julie McCarthy traveled to the western state, and she sent this report.
Early Sunday morning, grieving men and women gently tossed rose petals onto the body of Shwetong Patel. His youthful face and tousled black hair peeked out from beneath a tightly wrapped shroud laid out on a funeral bier adorned with chrysanthemums. The 32-year-old is alleged to have died in police custody, one of 8 victims of the violence that swept through Gujarat, the state that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ran for 13 years and pitches as a model for India. Angry mourners joined the procession as Shwetong's corpse was borne through the streets of the capital Ahmedabad, the route bristling with 1,500 riot police. The turbulence began after a speech at a rally last Tuesday by a brash, blue jean-clad Hardik Patel. At 22, he's not old enough to hold office, but he's cracked open the debate over India's affirmative action, pulling many of the state's 15 million Patels with him. If the fault lines are race in America, they are caste in India. Patel vowed to protect his Patidar caste against what he calls the unfair benefits to the lower castes. Half of Gujarat's population derives from castes known formally as other backward classes.